Hi, I'm Miss Tyler, and welcome to Context for Kids, Torah portion Vayeshev, or as I call this lesson, Dreams. Dreams, 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 dreams. That's right, we're going to be talking about the ancient Near Eastern and, the ancient world perception of dreams, because we've got a lot of them this week and next week to talk about. Hi, okay, here we are in week number 9, Torah portion, Vayeshev, and that's going to cover Genesis 37 through 40, verse 23. But before we get started, I wanted to tell you about something, actually about two exciting things that I'm doing. And the first is going to be a book giveaway. And between now and December 31st, I am going to be I'm going to be accepting applications, coloring pages, or for older kids, if you want to write a poem or a little story about some piece of context you've learned or some Bible story, I would love to receive that. And you can send it either to my email address or you can send it in snail mail. And the winner will be chosen in January and will receive the book of their choice, either King, Kingdom, Citizen, which is more of a high school and adult level, but it does cover the same kind of context that I cover, and it also goes into the New Testament writings, the first century writings, or you can choose Honor and Shame in the Bible, my first children's context book. If you already have them, you can give it away as a gift. I'm hoping I get lots of entries because downstairs in the basement, we're building a production studio where it's going to be a lot easier to record than right here where I am now. And I want coloring pages to decorate my walls with because, goodness sakes, this is context for kids. I can't just have painted walls. I would love to have pictures of you. I would love to have your artwork. I would just love to have the things on my wall. That kind of stuff inspires me. Knowing that you guys are learning and getting feedback, and that's, so in order to pay you to do this, I'm going to choose somebody to win it, and I'll announce the winners in January. So definitely take advantage of this. Like I said, you get your choice of whichever book you want, and I'll do it different months too. But this will be my first time. And I'm starting up a new blog, contextforkids.com, so we'll have our own committed blog for kids. I'm going to be posting character teachings every week based on whatever section of the Bible that we're doing. So this morning on my Facebook page, I posted a character teaching about Joseph, which I'm hoping that you will check out. All right, and I do accept friend requests. And I also have the Context for Kids actual Facebook page, so check it out. All right. Well, we have some really interesting things going on in this Torah portion. And before we get to dreams, which is really the overarching topic, not only of this week's Torah portion, but next week's Torah portion, I want to talk to you about the robe, the coat of many colors, that Jacob gave to Joseph. Well, this is another one of those things like Jacob's ladder where we got told something and we have it in our minds. But the Hebrew doesn't say a coat of many colors. Really, it's more of a long coat, because it never made any sense to me if it was a coat of many colors and it looked like a Technicolor dream coat. Then why, when the brothers brought it to their dad, did they say, "You want to check this out and see if it's your son's coat?" I mean, that coat was kind of hard to miss. It would have been unique. They wouldn't have been saying that. They wouldn't have tried to get away with that. So, a long coat. This was something that probably in most families would have and should have been given to the oldest son. Of course, the oldest son is Reuben, who was many years older than Joseph. When Joseph is 17, Reuben has been a grown man for a long time and rightfully should have been the next, considered the firstborn to get the double portion inheritance. But Jacob favors Joseph because he is the son of his favorite wife who is now dead. So Joseph's getting treated with a lot of favoritism, and his father gives him a long robe. Well, long robes were, the writing was on the wall for the other boys, 10 of whom were all older than Joseph. They were all being passed over as the favored firstborn son, and it was being given to snotty little Joseph, who was a tattletale, specifically picking on the sons of the concubines. Like it's their fault, okay? And, and then rubbing his dreams in their faces when they already are very, very upset about the long coat thing. So that was what I wrote about in the character lesson. You can go check that out. I'm not going to rehash that. All right, so anyway, Joseph is Jacob's choice for his favorite son. And in some ways, Joseph was favored by God. Now we also see Judah and Levi being way favored later on. Okay, so there's going to be other sons that are going to have glorious things happen. Judah's obviously going to be the ancestor of the kings. And then Levi is the ancestor of all the Levites and the priests, Moses and Aaron. So it's not like everything's going to happen to Joseph, but right now, Joseph is the favored son by Jacob and by God. But just because we're favored doesn't mean we have to rub it in people's faces, if we are. I don't want to be favored like Joseph was. Just saying. Okay, so Joseph has dreams. And we're going to see later in the chapter that the cupbearer and the baker have dreams. Next week, we're going to see Pharaoh having dreams. Prophet Daniel in Babylon, he had some really wild dreams, and King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon also had dreams. All these dreams were from God. And dreams were considered to be communications from God. And mainly they were communications given to kings and priests. Normal people weren't really expected to be having this kind of communication with God all the time. And in Mesopotamia and Egypt, we have what are called dream books. Books full of symbolism that the pagan priests would consult in order to learn the meanings of dreams and to interpret omens. When normal people had dreams, it was really just considered a form of an omen or this little bit of personal guidance. But when a king had a dream, it was going to bear on an entire nation, like Pharaoh's dream. Pharaoh's dream wasn't just about Pharaoh. Pharaoh's dream was about what was going to happen to everyone over a 14-year period. All right? So anyway, we have Joseph dreaming about sheaves of wheat and the sun and the moon and the stars. Well, and the cupbearer, he dreams about having a cup in his hand and grapes. The baker dreams about bread. Pharaoh dreams about cows and about what is it called? My mind went blank. It's corn or wheat. I can't remember which. Daniel dreams about animals, and Nebuchadnezzar dreams about golden statues and about, a tree that's cut off. Now, we could look at these things and we could come up with general rules of dream interpretation about what it would mean to us. But when we're looking at biblical dreams and when we're looking at dreams in every culture, it's not about what it would mean to us. Otherwise, we look at Daniel's dream and we see a bear, and those of us who are Generation X or the baby boomers, we're going to say, bears, Russia, they're talking about Russia. But what did bears mean to Daniel? I think I mentioned a few weeks back that God is always going to talk to us in terms that we can understand, things that are going to make sense in our culture. And so with Joseph, Joseph's dreams would involve what he could see with his eyes and what he understood about the life around him. And the whole idea of the harvest meant things to Joseph. The sun and the moon and the stars meant things to Joseph that they don't mean to us. The cupbearer is going to have dreams that didn't touch upon Joseph's life because maybe he'd never seen the person who stands right behind the king, holds his cup, is the only one who ever touches his cup, and is responsible to taste all of the wine that the king is ever going to drink, and the baker is responsible to taste all the food that is cooked that's going to go to Pharaoh. Okay, that is their life, and so God is going to communicate with all of them in completely different terms that they understand. When Pharaoh sees cows, why did Pharaoh see cows instead of sheep? Well, one, they didn't really approve of raising sheep to slaughter. Okay, in Egypt, they actually very much revered lambs. But besides, they weren't a nomadic culture. Now, what's a nomadic culture? They are people who don't really stay in one place forever, but they travel around. And Joseph's family was nomadic. They would travel around. They were traveling around the length and breadth of the land, and sometimes they would settle for a time in a certain place, and then they would move on. That was Abraham's whole life, was kind of moving his flocks around because he was nomadic. Now, cows are not the animals of nomads. Okay, cows are kind of settled animals. Cows aren't good. Cows aren't really that good at traveling. I mean, yeah, they would do cattle drives in the Old West to move them from one place to another, but really but they travel so slow. So once you have cows, you kind of stay in place. So Egypt was kind of a place where, you'd build actual stone houses. And so was Israel after it was conquered. All right. Then we get to so that's why Pharaoh, and he would also dream about grain because they grew grain, because the Nile was like the most fertile land there was, and still it's some of the most fertile land on earth. Daniel was raised in the court of Babylon. For 3.5 years, he was trained in the languages and the culture, and excuse me, I've been fighting a cold. Okay, he was trained in the language and the culture and all of the things that Babylonian wise men would know. So when Daniel dreams about things, he's got all that stuff in his head, stuff that we're finding now through archaeology, but things that wouldn't make sense if they were in a dream to us. Okay, Nebuchadnezzar, his dreams were full of Babylonian symbolism because a dream about things that weren't Babylonian wouldn't have made any sense to Nebuchadnezzar at all. Just like if I had a dream that would make sense to Joseph or the cupbearer, or the cupbearer, the baker, or Pharaoh, or Daniel, or Nebuchadnezzar, wouldn't make any sense to me. It's not spoken in my language. So keep that in mind whenever we're looking at these dreams. They're all cultural. They will always make sense to the people they were given to, even if they don't make sense to us. So that's about all we're going to do this week. And I hope I've given you some things to think about. I hope you will enter my contest, and I hope you will check out my website, which will hopefully be up by the time we do our next Torah portion. Again, here's my address, my email address and my home address if you want to send in your entries. Oh, when you send in your entries, you need to send your address so that when I choose the winner, I can send it. So I know where to find you. If you just send me your email address, I will lose it. I just promise it's going to come into my box and I won't have it anymore. But I will print out all your pictures and that you send me. So I'm very excited and good luck. So that's it for this week. Next week we will be looking at big changes in the life of Joseph, because this week in the life of Joseph, it's pretty darn bad. But next week it gets better, and I cover all of Joseph's life in one of the weeks in Honor and Shame in the Bible, because Joseph's life is a foreshadowing of the honor and shame and back to honor that our Messiah faced and is still facing. So it's just one of my favorite things, and I hope you enjoy it too. Now, you all take care, and remember, check out Torah Puppets and my friend Sarah Hawk Valente's Lessons in Yeshua's Torah if you want to follow along in a fun way with the Torah portions we're doing from a very, very mom point of view. Y'all take care. Have a wonderful week studying the scriptures together, and I love you, and I am praying for you.